twisted in your hand so your point stays good. I said, and plus, that relaxes the muscles in your hand so you don't get cramp. I have not really experienced that. Maybe it's because it's that kind of motion.
Yeah. Is that how you do it? Just what
It's
you
done
do?
by hand, just what I do. I'll set something. In fact, I probably don't really need to do this since there's not that many of us. I can just sit at the table and show you, give you an example of how that works.
Is it wristing or arming?
Just like that.
Wow.
And then I have the taboo of the paper that you keep under your hand so that you don't smear things or get your grease on. That's another good one that students. Mr. Rodak, the color's not going over that spot. Did you put that paper underneath your hand? No. Well, that's because your hand has that lanolin that builds up on the paper if you're not careful, and that prevents it from going on there. So I've got my papers that are got lanolin all over on the one side, but the other side they're clean. That's again another one of those ritual taboos that you kind of live with.
You prefer to work in black and white, but have you used color at all?
For this kind of work, no. The concept of Surratt, to get a light green, you'd have yellow, you'd have green and you'd have yellow, or you'd have white with it. Or you want a darker green, you'd have green with maybe a little bit of black with it, or blue with it, or whatever you wanted to do, is fine. But again, if you get too close, you lose the concept of it, whereas it's got to be at that certain distance. And I just felt that was too complicated an issue to try to deal with when you're sitting there trying to put up work, rather than put out maybe 2 pieces a year because of that kind of detail that you got to put into it. It was just better to work this way.
Okay.
Other questions, though? Ask me anything. If there's anything controversial to get me in trouble with my wife, I won't answer.
How did you get so much patience?
I'm sorry?
How did you get to be so patient?
I don't know. When I started teaching, a lot of things kids never riled me. I mean, I taught black students, middle high school students, and it was a pleasure to teach. I loved it. And they shipped me out to after 7 years, they shipped me to one of the suburban schools where they were having the integration. They were forced by the feds to integrate schools. Well, you're an expert in dealing with black people. Go ahead out there and teach at that school because they're integrating them. Again, it didn't rile me. Adults riled me, yes. Some of the people you deal with. As far as the patience to do that, is just I enjoy it, and that's what we were talking about with kids taking art today. Is that they're not taught to enjoy art. You're doing it. Everybody must do something for rodeo. Well, maybe the kid doesn't want to do something for rodeo, but you're forcing them to do that. Does that slowly turn them against doing art because they feel you have to do it? Or I know that you're very good at doing things with chalk. You love doing things with chalk, but we're not doing that. You must do painting like everybody else. Why are they playing to people's strengths in the classroom? That's what an art teacher should do, is play to their strength. And that's one of the things I always tell my students, you need to enjoy what you're doing. I have a girl that is a senior this year. She's been with me in my private classes for 5 years now. She's won national painting contests. She just finished illustrating a story that I wrote, that we've been posting it on Facebook and everything. And it's just like, okay, here's what we're going to do this on this episode. I'm looking for something like this and this and this and this. Just she knows that whatever she wants to do will probably fly okay, because that's what you're teaching your kids to do, is to enjoy what you're doing, to be creative in what you're doing, and it's going for a purpose. Even her parents wanted me to send them the pages. That's very unusual to have a parent turn around and say, I understand Jessica's illustrating this story. Can you send us the pages, because she doesn't show us anything? Sure, okay.
So what medium is she using?
She's using what she and I have termed, for a lot of things, the murky style. Some of the pictures that she's done, it's a story about an individual researcher who believes that there is a thing called a synthetic dimension, that we're living like this, but there is a dimension that is in existence right along with us at the same time, we just never see it. And it's about her finding this dimension and what ensues from that. So I call the story Song of the Siren, because if you remember the story of Ulysses, he was called while he was trying to get back home, the sirens on the ocean, trying to wreck the ships on the rocks.
Yeah.
And so she would do illustrations of faces of women, of some of the figures that would show up later on, some of the laboratory where the woman worked, some of the chaos that ensued afterwards. Some of it was watercolor, some of it was markers, some of it was a pencil that she would kind of smear some of the things and do some eclectic lines through it. Just a whole variety of styles
Huh,
from one person.
very cool.
Have you ever done anything that incorporated like hashtag and other type of shapes with your dots, or just the dots?
No, just the dots, just the dots. When I was drawing for magazines and things, I would use crosshatch, or I would use broken shape a lot, and just to break up some of the solid black areas. But when I do the dots, it's all dots. It's all dots.
So how are you going to show us to your technique?
Well, I guess,
What were you going to draw?
Well, we had maybe 5 hours. We could finish something else.
Well, I know you can't finish one, but
We're here.
you can show us how you started.
We can order pizza.
Do what?
So 5 hours, we can order pizza for dinner.
Well, let's try this so you can see.
Okay.
Okay? I got enough paper and pens for everybody if you guys want to try a dot yourself.
After you show us.
I'll show
Says
you.
the master.
Let's see first.
No, I'm not the master.
Put this back here.
I brought a couple threes and I brought an 8. So a lot of times when you start, as you know, it's a feeling that you have to have on it. That you know you're going to sit there and you've committed yourself to doing that picture. You feel very good about doing it, and you just start. So I'm going to start. I'll just do one of the letters.
Have you ever made something up that wasn't a photograph?
Yes. Yes.
Was that harder?
Totally different animal. Totally different animal, because I like the challenge of working from photos, because the photos limit you to capturing the detail. You can play with the detail a little bit. There was one that I did of a barn that was falling apart, and I got an angle of it so that I'm down at the ground and I'm looking up and I go, boy, that looks like a cathedral. I like that. So I'm doing it, and it was one of those where you start at 9 o'clock and at midnight suddenly, geez, I better take a break from this. And I had the beams that I was studying actually made a cross inside of it. I went, oh, little things like that. A lot of times what you do is you start off defining your area. And as you see, the hand is pretty much resting.
That helped, Alan.
Thank you.
Is that too bright on you?
No, that's fine. Then the other thing that I do after I complete a picture, and my wife never sees the picture until I've completed with it. She is very sweet about not disturbing me or coming in and going, what did you do that for? Is I'll finish it and I'll let it sit for a couple of days. And then I'll come back and look at it to see, okay, does that still capture the shading that I wanted? Did I have that detail right? Do I need to touch anything up? And then I go back and add anything I need to add in. So that's kind of like a graded, about a medium grade, and that's using a number 3. So if I turn around and I want to get some more of the detail in it, or I want to get that kind of grade to it, so usually I have something on YouTube going in the background on my computer.
How long do you say it takes you, like, the one of these paintings here? How long,
The Shanghai one took me about 30 hours to do. The one of the Guardian Angel, that I did right after, that was done after the barn pictures are done, because when you do a series of them for a specific show, you really kind of burn out for a little
Yeah.
while afterwards. I just don't pick up the pen again. So that was done, we were in New England that we did that, I found that in a cemetery. And that one took about 35 hours to do. This one took about 25 to do, and that one took about 30 to do. And that's a piece of statuary in Navasota.
that's pretty fast, really.
Yeah, it is, but it's not like 8 hours a day for 5 days. It's like,
Right.
you know, today I may work 3 hours on it, the next day I may work 1 hour on it. I may skip a day and then go back again to it.
So whose chalk is on these drawings?
That was a gift from my wife.
Oh,
And what it is that her friends in Taiwan, when they realized what I did, they nicknamed it Yi Dian Dian, which means,
Small dots.
small dots, okay.
so we were traveling in Taiwan after this happened, and she went to a place and had a stamp made for me.
Mhm.
So whenever I have prints that I'm selling, I stamp those and sign it.
Do you have a copy of yours with you?
No, I don't.
You should carry it all the time.
Have you ever estimated how many dots you might have on one?
no.
How many got there so far?
You know,
Chinese English.
I don't
He
even,
does
I don't
Chinese
even,
ink
I don't even
brush.
go there.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Chinese ink brush work.
Oh, so he has
I
that.
have a chalk, my own personal art name
So that's with
Uh-huh.
number 3,
as a seal.
20 or 30.
My hand will get tired pretty quick.
and that's what it.
It might be
that's
good
what
for
it
your,
does
for arthritis though.
You never know.
You never know.
Either that or make it
Original or
worse.
print?
Always original.
Originals, they vary based
Well,
upon,
that's what it is for effort. It goes out in
of
30 hours.
Enraptured. That's for a couple
See you
thousand.
next,
Prints,
month.
prints I have are usually anywhere from 50, which are just open stock, to what I have a limited edition, I have 50 of them printed, and those go for 75. But again, the different originals go for different prices.
Different sizes? or
No,
same
different,
size?
basically because of, you know, the sentimental value to me. That one I really like, and that has a lot of sentimental value, so does the
Celeste, you drew an outline first.
Guardian Angel.
No, I didn't. I just did dots.
Oh, very good.
No sentimental.
What he does is a visual
Nothing
memory.
on, you just did it.
Look at something.
sell it.
They don't have still see it.
They have some, but it just varies to degrees, yes. Like there's a barn picture that I will never sell because it's my wife's favorite picture.
Understand.
I think
I do need at least to lose.
your hand will get very, your wrist.
But that's what
will
they
get
do.
very tired. Well, it does, look like it could, I don't know.
So if you're gonna sit there and you wanna do something that's a solid dark area, 8 is a really good one to use, otherwise you're gonna be building and building and building and increasing.
More shape.
Yes, yes. Now, you can get that shaded effect with the 8. It's just a matter of,
Who did the owl? I did.
That's careful.
circle.
So don't normally use a pen bigger than an 8?
No.
Well, that is shaded. I see.
What do the pens run, do you remember?
They usually run about $3 each, and they have, they used to be able to sell a set with the 3, 4, 6, and 8 in it, and that went for about $10.
So have you used the micron pens?
I tried them. No. These seem to work the best. They never seem to clot up. They don't really puncture the paper. The microns tend to wobble a little bit. Tend to wobble. Again, when you put a dot down, you want the dot to be a dot, not. Okay. Oh, you guys ready to try one? No?
Oh,
I can appreciate it, but no, that's not me. I know I don't like doing that.
Any takers?
I would try it, but I've got a north-rooted finger that says no.
Okay.
Well, switch hands. Switch hands, use that other side of the brush.
I tried the A, just dot.
Okay, now try it with this one.
Okay,
Okay?
okay. Will do.
Both of you or just one of you?
With just one piece of paper, we can
Don't you
share
want to
it.
do it, don't you want to do it at the table? rather than
I
that?
guess I could.
There you go.
It's not moving.
Let's make it work.
You want to try it, Debbie?
No, just do it.
It's just these.
Just do 11.
Just those.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Take the cap on.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Oh, this, oh, okay.
There you go.
There we go. I was wondering, surely that wouldn't be it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, did you get it with that?
Do you know that like seeing it on the paper first is like an amazing.
Yes?
That is,
Believe me, I'm thankful every day for the talents I've been blessed with.
I think that's amazing.
But again, it just,
I find a picture.
it's something that you take a while at because it's, like I say, that paper's there and I've got the photographs that I'm gonna do it for a
Yeah.
partner. I've got some photographs of other pictures I wanna get done. I've got a show in Plainview, Texas
Here, I'll
in
be ambitious.
October. And so there's a couple of new pieces I want to work on. It's just like, okay, that I see on the paper, how I'm gonna put them, where it's gonna go. That's what I'll do.
No florals, no landscapes?
I've got some landscapes, yes. I've got some landscapes, yes. I just didn't bring the landscapes. It's just, there's one that we have from China. There's China's version of Yellowstone Park. Well, first off, her parents come from a town called Chengdu, which is where the panda bears are in China. Okay. Her mom and dad had to leave China because they were wanted by the communists. He was a colonel in the Air Force, and her mother was the daughter of a regional government official. There was a movie a couple of years ago about the last two boats that left China for Taiwan. One of them sank. They were on the one that did not sink. So